Hey, I'm Mahmoud and today I'm going to show you 5 ways you can spice up your metal arrangement. Alright, I've opened up the Cubase session right here, and the first thing that I want to show you are the rhythm guitar tracks. Here's the main rhythm guitar track, which is a Friedman JJ into a Mesa Cab IR with a overdrive in front of it. Nothing unusual. Here it is. You get the idea. And what we did is we decided to try out something to make this sound a bit different. And what we ended up doing is we used a little big muff, electro-harmonics, and we used the same exact performance and we reamped it through the same chain, except we used the clean channel of the Friedman, and I think no overdrive, I'm not quite sure. And same Mesa Cab, and here's what that sounded like. And that together with the main rhythm tone sounds really cool, in my opinion. Here's the main rhythm tone, and then I'll blend in the fuzz tone. Now, is that something that I would use in every metal song ever? And is that my go-to tone from now on? Probably not. It's something that I use because I thought it would fit the song and the riffs lend themselves well to a tone that isn't super tight because there's very little palm muting within the context of the song. It's all open string stuff. So it worked. When I take it out, I miss it when it's gone, but obviously the volume is matched and all that. But still, I wouldn't want to have this mix without the rhythm, without the fuzz in there. So that's tip number 1 for you. Try some crazy stuff with your rhythm guitars. The second thing that I would like to show you is bass. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's a bass guitar with a lot of distortion. Works, all right? Now, Phil came up with this really cool Moog imitation, I think, of a synthesizer bass. And what I really like about that is that it gives the whole song more texture. And really, songwriting often is about building these landscapes of texture and little ear candy, and here's a nugget, there's a nugget, and just gives it all more depth. And if you if you really like the song and you want listeners to keep coming back to the song, adding more texture like that can really help. So here's what that bass Moog sounds by itself. The bass is programmed to do exactly what the bass guitar is doing, and it's there to just fatten it up, and in some section even replaced it, such as here. I really enjoy that, and I think adding different sources for your bass can really spice up the arrangement overall. Let me show you another bass that he did that to me really, really reminds me of Doom. If you don't know the Doom soundtrack, go check it out because I think Phil was inspired by that in doing this tone. Listen to this. Sounds a lot like Doom to me, and I love that section. I think it sounds really gritty and nasty and dirty, and sometimes that's just what a song needs. Dirty bass. One last thing. 808s. I think 808s are underused by all genres except for hip hop. I think 808s can really spice up an arrangement as well. And if used right and implemented right and combined in the right way with the real drum, it can give you something that is super unique. This section doesn't have drums, but still, it's a cool thing in my opinion, and I think you should try that. Now, moving on, let me show you something that guitarists maybe only use as an afterthought sometimes. I know I do. And that is synthesizers to spell out the progression within a song. Let me show you just the drums, bass, and the rhythm guitar for this section right here. And then I'll pop in the synthesizers to show you what they bring to the table. Here we go. You get the idea. And now here's that same section with the synthesizers. Now, synthesizers can be a really cool tool, especially if maybe you have only one guitarist in your band, or if both guitars want to play the same thing, so it sounds bigger as a whole, but you leave out all the space that maybe a synthesizer could take up. And here's what they're doing. The main synthesizer is this choir-like section, and that's this track here. You get the idea. And Phil did all these synthesizers, by the way. And here's, I think, the same kind of choir thing, but he chopped it up in a really cool way. We decided to blend those two together, and the rest of the synthesizer is just a piano and this guitar-esque texture. There you go. That's how you could use synthesizers to spice up your metal arrangement. Analyze some music that uses synthesizers heavily, and I'm sure you will feel inspired to try out something like that as well. Here's another trick that I want to show you, which is using percussion outside of just the drums. I'm going to show you the drums isolated, and then I'll drop in these few tracks right here to show you what they bring to the table. Now, I'm going to play that same section while putting these in. These samples right there are something that are heavily used in trap and hip hop. Now, Phil also brought these to the table, and he is really good at making trap beats and hip hop beats and the like. And I figured it would be really cool to implement some of that stuff and support the real drum. Does the song break without these? No, obviously not. But does it enhance the listening experience? Absolutely. This is something that that you should consider if maybe you just want something different. I think that's something that maybe not enough metal bands do or take advantage of, because it can be such a nice tool to give the arrangement of a song a completely different texture. And at the end of the day, arrangements within a song are also about texture. It's not just what sounds nice, but also what gives something different. It's like with I like to compare it a lot to food, because eating the same thing over and over again, even if it's nice, can get a bit boring. I want to leave you with one last tip, and that's lead guitars. I think lead guitars obviously are something that are very heavily utilized in metal, but I think we can go way crazier with them than what most metal bands maybe do. If there's one thing in a metal context that is super shapeable and super flexible in that regard, it's lead guitars. You can do you can slap on so many effects and it will still recognizably be a lead guitar. What I did here wasn't specifically an effect like a, I don't know, whammy pedal or something like that. What I did here is I recorded these guitars with the intent of having them replaced by a synthesizer. What ended up happening is we kept them as is, but it still sounds a bit like a synthesizer. And the reason why it sounds like that is because I recorded all of the notes of the riff individually and put them together to make them sound a bit unhuman in a way. Just the goal was to have the lead guitar sound like a synthesizer, and again, with the intent to be replaced. Now, let me show you the lead guitar by itself over here. Like I mentioned, it's the spliced up guitar. Sounds like this. Now, does it sound inhuman? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are guitarists out there that can play this cleanly and make it sound even better than I did here. But the point was to make it sound a certain way, and it wasn't about like getting a real performance or anything like that. I just wanted to sound cool. And in my opinion, anything is alright in the studio. If you want to replicate it live, that's a whole different story. But this sounds cool to me, especially in the context of the whole mix with the synthesizers and all that. Let's give that another listen. And here's something Phil did, again, something really cool, which is he used a synthesizer to imitate what's happening with the lead guitar, and that's here. That's really cool to me. It doesn't play the exact same thing, but it has the same vibe and it fulfills the same role. And it's embedded within the other lead guitar, the other synthesizers, excuse me, that I've already showed you. All right, I've shown you now 5 ways you can spice up your arrangement, and I'm sure you have plenty of awesome ideas that you can implement in your mixes too. Now, that being said, make sure you actually try out stuff. It's not just about just finding the first tone that works. Sometimes experimentation is key, and the thing I did with the fuzz in this mix was just, all right, let's just try it and see what happens. And I would suggest you do that too. There's so many great effects out there that are even free. You can just use any DAW and it will probably have a plethora of effects that you can use and try. So do it. Just do it. That being said, thanks for watching. And if you have any suggestions on what you want to hear from me next, leave it down below in the comments. And we'll see you next time. Cheers. Hey, I'm Mahmoud, and today I'm going to show you 5 ways you can spice up your metal rating. Hey, I'm